Deputy Madison Sperry talks about her intuition kicking in what would become a very important traffic stop.
Nothing like that. But I think I was behind them, just driving behind them, and saw that they didn't use their turn signal. So I went ahead and, lit them up, with my red and blues. They pulled into a gas station. I walked up to the car and I observed three very large, muscular males inside the car. Asked them, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And they're like, "Oh, we're coming from our friend's house, kind of deal, whatever." But it's one of those things like your spidey senses kind of kick
Hmm.
up, and it's like, there's something a little off with this, kind of deal. So I had another unit, the other deputy who was on the street, he had already started coming my way, so he was on scene, and I just had that feeling that there's something afoot here.
Welcome to Game of Crimes.
So, what people don't understand or realize is that the one thing that all criminals, whether they just committed a murder, a bank robbery, they just, pushed an old lady down the stairs, whatever it may be, what is the one thing that all criminals have in common? They all have to drive. So, even if their vehicle has all of the equipment up to date, their registration's up to date, whatever, they may just so happen to forget to use their turn signal. And so part of my job in particular is trying to utilize my dog. So what that means is I am looking for things to get him into, whether that be taking guns off the streets, seizing narcotics, or money, large amounts of US currency that's been used to purchase contraband, or, is the result of selling contraband. And so, like I said, in my particular department, we are not as canine call responsive as, say, like the sheriff's office. And so there might be times where we are having to find our own dog work. So yes, I run a lot of traffic because my main goal is to get guns, drugs, money, and bad guys off the street. And how do you do that? Traffic stops. So, it's not nitpicking. People might think, oh, they didn't use their turn signal, or whatever. But I'll tell you what, there was one night that we were working an initiative in a little more dangerous side of town, than what we normally patrol in. Like this area is just it's a high known, crime area. A lot of weapons, a lot of drugs, a lot of stuff like that. Violent crimes happening in this area. And so we were working a traffic initiative, and it was a zero tolerance. So basically, if you saw any infraction, whether it be they didn't use their turn signal, or at night, equipment violations are the easiest to spot. Hey, their tail light or their headlights out, or even here in Texas, you have to have a little license plate light that illuminates your rear
Hmm.
license plate. So a lot of people don't know to check that. Hey, is my license plate light on? Kind of deal. And so there was one night in particular. This was a couple years ago. We were running an initiative, and I think there was like six of us out there. I was myself and another deputy were the last ones on the street because everybody else had already gotten felony arrest. Every single one of them had gotten felony arrest just in this particular grid. This little block of area that we were working, and
You're feeling left out.
no, well, no. So I wasn't, because I was canine utilization on a lot of their stops.
Hmm.
So when we do these, I'll kind of sit back and be available, because a lot of times people will, hey, can I search your vehicle? They'll say no. So we can utilize these dogs for a freer sniff around the exterior
Mhm.
of these people's vehicles. And if the dog alerts to the presence of narcotics that he is trained to detect, that is now our probable cause to search this vehicle.
So I got
So
to ask you, Madison, are some of these guys that call you over now the ones that kind of gave you a hard time first, but when you come over and make their case for them, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I guess you're okay.
No, not too much. Like I said, I mean, that kind of subsided pretty quick because they saw, hey, I can handle myself. Like I said, I showed them, hey, I deserve to be here, and I'm, kind of deal.
Yep.
So no, I would say I have a pretty good working relationship with the majority of the people that I do work with, now. I've got some really phenomenal partners who, um, the 2 or 3 nights ago, myself and my partner are chasing 3 suspects who had just shot up a neighborhood. We're chasing them along a bayou, kind of deal. So, I mean, I trust these guys, and I need them to trust me and
Trust
know
you.
that,
Yep.
hey, I might, because I get told it all the time, hey, you're just, you've got a pretty face, but can you handle yourself? Yes. Like, look, I'll be the first one going through that door, and I know I'm kind of sidetracking a little bit, or kind of getting off. But what a lot of people don't realize is when you have dogs, a dual purpose dog, we are the first ones going into a lot of these scenes. So if we're going into a building searching for a suspect who just shot at somebody and ran into a building or whatever, guess who's the first one is going in? That's me and the dog. So I can't be afraid. I have to be able to handle myself. So for anybody to even doubt that or question that based off how somebody looks is just, it's mind boggling to me. But I guess that's society.
There are
today.
still Neanderthals out there, but they are slowly going away as you do this. But going back to what you're talking about, so you're working this saturation patrol basically, and now you're coming up on this car, and let's take her from there.
So I see a vehicle make a left-hand turn at a light, and they didn't use their turn signal. And so, like I said, it's just me and another deputy out there. We're the last ones. So I was like, you know what? They didn't use their left turn signal. I'm going to pull them over. So they pull into a parking lot. Why they didn't run and start a vehicle pursuit, I still looking back to this day, I'm like, it blows my mind. But they didn't.
Now, tell me real quick, you came up, were you behind them or did you pass them? Or did they, the reason I'm asking is that you talk about looks can be deceiving. Did they ever see you prior to that point to see, hey, you look like a female, you look like somebody we could take if we had to, or did they see you at all?
No, if memory, like I said, this was a couple years ago. I think I was behind them, just driving behind them. And they can't see in my car anyways because my window tint is as dark as it can be. Just to help keep the car cool for the dog. So no, I mean, even if they had seen me, they would not have been able to see that it was a female. Nothing like that. But I think I was behind them, just driving behind them, and saw that they didn't use their turn signal. So I went ahead and, lit them up, with my red and blues. They pulled into a gas station. I walked up to the car and I observed 3 very large, muscular males inside the car. Asked them, hey, what are y'all doing? And they're like, oh, we're coming from our friend's house, kind of deal, whatever. But it's one of those things like your spidey senses kind of kick up, and it's like, there's something a little off with this, kind of deal. So I had another unit, the other deputy who was on the street, he had already started coming my way, so he was on scene. And I just had that feeling that there's something afoot here. Because their stories had kind of already conflicted a little bit. One said they were coming from a party, one said that they were coming from somewhere else, kind of deal. And so anyways, I asked them, I got their names and stuff. And then I asked them for consent to search the car. And they denied it. And I said, okay, well, go ahead and step out,
Now, at this point, do they know you're a canine officer? Do they have any idea there's a big ass dog back there?
No.
Okay.
No. And luckily, like
who's
I said,
hungry, that hasn't played in a while and looks at everybody like they're a piece of chicken.
Right. And luckily, like I said, these males were very large. I mean, they were, like I said, I'm 5'8". I mean, I can carry my weight pretty well, but these guys are fit, muscular, whatever. Well, my partner showed up and he's a big guy too. So, 2 on 3, kind of deal. So we started getting him out. I explained to him, hey, yeah, y'all denied consent or whatever, but I am a narcotics canine unit. So what I'm going to do is utilize my dog for a free air sniff around the exterior of your vehicle. If the dog alerts to the presence of narcotics, we're going to get in and, check it out basically. So detained all 3 of them. Cause like I said, I had that reasonable suspicion. Something was up,
but you're skipping over. Hold on. So you said you detained. Let's talk about the process so people understand. Just these are big guys. So what does that mean to detain 3 big guys where it's just you, your dog, and your partner?
So being detained does not mean that you are under arrest. Being detained is just for my safety, and also the safety of them. Yes, they're being put in cuffs. So I forgot to mention that the back passenger had kind of been reaching. He was leaned down, reaching as I walked up. So that's,
as they say in police terms, he was making furtive movements.
Yes,
Your Honor.
Yes, he was making furtive movements, and so again, I had reasonable suspicion to believe that something was up. Okay. They denied consent. Most people don't deny consent to search a vehicle unless they really are hiding something, kind of deal, or they're concealing something, or something's up. So I get them out. And a lot of times too, they're detained. So when you're a canine unit, you don't have a cage, a suspect cage in the back of your car. So I cannot put a suspect in my car. So these guys are standing in front of my car. They're always out with me. So yes, I will detain them, temporarily detain them, put them in handcuffs. They're not under arrest at this time. They're just being detained. I pat them down, make sure that they do not have any weapons on them, because people in handcuffs can still shoot.
Mhm.
And before you go any farther, I watched a video this morning. I think it popped up on Facebook. I almost shit my pants when I saw this one. It's a video of them bringing somebody into a detention facility, a booking area. Guys in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. And the officers are just lollygagging around. The guy's in handcuffs behind him, and they bring him in and they like uncuff him, and they take the other cuff off, and he's on the wall. Then he turns around, and you can't hear what he's saying, but you can see what he's doing. He's going, "Look, I've got something here." He lifts up the side of his shirt, and the dude has got a 9mm handgun in a waistband, belly band, and he picks it up and he hands it to him. And it's like, how the fuck do you get into a booking area with a loaded weapon? Not hit. He's in a pair of shorts, like gym shorts.
Yeah, how was it
And
missed?
how was it missed? You know why? Because to your point, people forget. How many cops have been shot and killed by a weapon that they missed riding by a suspect riding in the back of a car?
Right.
Sorry, that was my divergent training. If you're listening to their training, if everybody gets searched, everybody gets searched.
Everybody gets searched, or patted down. Everybody gets patted down. You're feeling for weapons.
I'm
you're
a
feeling
civilian. Everybody gets searched. I don't have to worry about the Fourth Amendment. But everybody gets patted down for their safety and yours. Yes.
Right. Yes. For it's all about safety. It really is. So, detain them. Explained what I was about to do with the canine. I bring canine Le Mans out, run him around the exterior of the vehicle. He alerts to the presence of narcotics inside the vehicle.
But when you said that you told them what you were going to do, did you get any reaction from any of them? Did you get a physical reason or anything? Or they just
not? They just kind of were just like whatever. They just kind of at that point. A lot of them won't say anything. So no, it was and I believe if memory serves me correctly, we did put two of them in a car, in my partner's car, and then he watched the third one. Because all three of them weren't going to fit in that car. So anyways, canine Le Mans alerted to the presence of narcotics on that vehicle. I conduct a probable cause search. I find an 8-ball of cocaine in the ashtray that's like underneath the radio area, that little storage compartment right there. Found that there was a loaded handgun under the driver's seat. There was a loaded
Now, when you found that, when I've done stuff like that before too, I just crap my pants and I go, like you say, oh, even though you're being safe, you're walking up. If they've got that in their hand, it's not much for them to just reach out a window and start shooting.
No, it's not. And actually, in Houston, we just had that happen a couple weeks ago. They were getting him out, and he pulled the handgun so fast. They released the body camera on it, and he pulled that handgun so fast. I mean, it's incredible. Their action is always faster than our reaction.
Right.
And it's just insane. And no, I don't really get that like, oh crap moment, when I do find guns. It's one of those like, this could have gone to shit real quick, but finding them, no, it's just like, okay, well, it is what it is.
What else is here now?
Right. So, found a firearm underneath the driver's seat. There was one behind the driver's seat, which is where the passenger who was reaching, that's the area that he was reaching towards. So there was a firearm within immediate reach of him, the driver, and then also the front right passenger. There was one under his seat.
So you got 3 weapons out of the car?
3 weapons from 3 suspects. Yes, sir.
Plus an 8-ball of cocaine. It was going to be a party.
Cocaine. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. What do we have? Blah, blah, blah. So I have our dispatch, our communications, run the weapons. They're stolen out of another county. Gosh, I can't even remember now who it was. But anyways, so they come back, reported stolen, whatever, cool. About 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from a detective from that county. Because I guess whenever our dispatch ran the firearms, they got an alert, and it was, hey, this fire, whatever. So she calls our dispatch, gets in contact with me, and she's like, hey, who do you have? And so I tell her, the names of these 3 guys. And apparently they had been on the run for 6 months. They were doing home invasions, pistol whipping old ladies, committing aggravated robberies. But they had done a string of armed home invasions recently. And the feds were trying to track and locate them. So they had been trying to do that for 6 months, and they had been unsuccessful. And here I am. I pull this car over just for not using their turn signal. And here we go. We now have all 3 in custody with the same weapons that they had been using in these armed robberies and home invasions, all because they didn't use their turn signal. So
why do you think they didn't resist at all?
I don't know. That still to this day, I don't know why they didn't run. Clearly they run drive
or
away.
3 guns.
Yeah. Or use guns. It's just I don't know. I mean, maybe they thought that nothing would come of it. They're going to tell me no, I can't search it. Well, they clearly didn't know I had a dog in the car. That detects cocaine.
And they thought they were just going to drive off and be okay.
Right.
However, though, now here's a little inside baseball. Maybe you'll learn something today. So you're saying, how did the detective find out about it? So being a detective who I was the first guy certified actually in Kansas to be an NCIC operator. So I was a sworn guy. So I went through. So one thing I learned is that I used to think, oh, you got a stolen car. That's good. No, what they have to do is they actually have to teletype the agency and say, you have to have confirmation of the hit. It's a hit is probable cause to detain, or it's enough to detain, but it's not probable cause to arrest. You have to get confirmation of the hit. So what they did was they teletyped the agencies confirming, hey, are these still active stolen weapons? And then when they did, somebody notified the detective because, why do I tell you that story? I also had to write a Dear Colonel letter when I shot a radio in my patrol car, stopping a car one night.
Oops.
I was actually, long story short, but been up all night working an accident. I had to swap out cars, so I'm headed to Topeka, and I get behind this vehicle, and I run the tag, and it's stolen. So I get another trooper to help me. I'm like 100 miles away from my home, headed to Topeka, and I'm so tired. The car I was using didn't have a tilt steering wheel. My car had a tilt steering wheel, so every time I got the shotgun out, I shoot left-handed. I brought it out. Well, my shotgun hit the bottom of the steering wheel. My finger was on the trigger, which it shouldn't have been because I was tired. My shotgun went off through the back seat, blew out my radio, only to find out what?
Oops.
The car was not stolen. It had not been taken out of NCIC. And I shot a defenseless radio and scared the hell out of 3 older people for nothing. There you go.
It happens.
Do you know why he was the first person certified to do that?
To keep me off the road.
Can you read that sign there?
Because he's a nerd.
nerd.
That's funny. But yeah, so I like to tell people that story. And, I have a lot of others too, but that one in particular, always stands out because, you'll always see people quarterbacking the police. Oh, they're doing a speed trap, or, oh, they have a quota. So that's why they're pulling people over for not using their turn signals. But again, what they don't realize is every criminal has to drive. So whether that be, what if they had some human trafficking victims in the car, some kids or whatever, you never know. And so simple traffic stops that people may find petty can actually lead to some big things.
Absolutely.
Let's not go ahead, Steve.
Is Quelle looking at you right now?
Yes, come here.
She thinks that you're talking to nobody.
Here, she's now gonna. Oh, there goes the computer. Yeah, so she is now trying to sit in my lap. Here, Quelle, you want to say hi? Speak. Speak.
Hello, Quelle.
Speak.
Hello.
Speak.
Ruff, ruff.
Hey, speak. Hey, speak. Quelle. Oh, now I have my other ones coming too. So they're all like, "Hey, let's say hi." Get down. Look, I have 2 now.
Oh my gosh!
Get down.
For our listeners, she has 2 of these dogs up in her lap right now.
Just don't say the attack word.
Hey, speak. Yeah, there we go. They said hi, everybody.
What is your now? What language are they? Do you give your commands in?
So all 3 of mine are in Hungarian.
So you just said speak in English.
I'm sorry?
You just said speak in English.
So yes, so speak and treat they know in English. Everything else is in Hungarian.
The minute she said treat, 3 more dogs came up. What'd you say?
Right.
A neighbor's dog came over.
Yeah, so
Hey.
so now because they're not getting the attention from me, they're actually about to start wrestling. So if it gets loud, that's what you're hearing.
Folks, this is in real time, but let's not skip too far past the arrest here. So, how did you find out? So, did they give you their true identification? Did you have to discover it? Because guys like that are wanted probably aren't going to give you any idea, or were they stupid enough to do that too?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I have a mobile fingerprint AFISing
Yay.
system.
Those are
So
fun.
yeah, so even if somebody doesn't give me their name and date of birth, or I think they might be lying about it, I can use my mobile fingerprint system. It'll scan their finger and it'll pull up their all of their information if they've ever been arrested. They have databases with the FBI, all sorts of stuff. So
Mhm.
it'll pull up their mugshot, their picture, and all of their information. So I'm sure I did
Very
that.
cool.
Yeah, so it's a very very handy tool. We're fortunate to be one of the only ones in the area who has them. So we are constantly being requested by other agencies. Hey, do you have? Can we get a mobile AFIS? You know, which is
So, for the unindoctrinated out there, that's automated fingerprint identification system. So
yes.
but let me tell you, that is such a huge thing because people can lie to you about their names. The one thing they can't really lie about is their biometrics, their
No.
fingerprints. You can't lie about those. Now, did you find out that night all the things they were wanted for? Or did you find out later?
So I arrested them for possession of a controlled substance. And crazy story. I actually had our district attorney. So here in Harris County, we have to get every arrest basically blessed by the Harris County District Attorney's office. So we have to call them and say, "Hey, this is what I have. Can I arrest
Well,
them?"
whoa, wait a minute. So while you're out in the field, you want to arrest somebody, you got to call and get an okay.
Yes, on everything. Yes,
Why?
that's just how Harris County is. We have to call, present the facts of the situation. Hey, I pulled over a car for this. They had, cocaine, stolen guns, whatever. Are you going to take the charge? Yes, cool. So the district attorney the assistant district attorney that I had talked to, I gave her, all the information. One of the guys had actually not been handled in Harris County, so he didn't pull up. With any priors or anything. We actually let him walk. I did not have any charges on him. He was the backseat passenger. So he actually got to walk. Because remember at the time, I did not, prior to this point, I did not know that they were involved in all of the home invasions and all of that. That
Right.
came shortly after, like literally 10 minutes after. I'd already released this guy. We're on the way to the jail, whatever. And so yeah, in Harris County, even if it's a DWI or whatever, we have to call, hey, pulled this car over for this and this. This is what I saw, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll
So
take
they
the
have ADAs on call 24 hours a
24,
day for
yeah,
you to
24/7. We have to call them on everything.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have to get their permission to arrest, and they can decline charges too. No, we're not going to take it, kind of deal. So anyways, arrested two of them, took him down to the county jail. That's when the detective was in contact and said, "Hey, what do you have?" Told her, "Hey, we've been looking for them for 6 months." Okay, cool. This is all their info. They're down at the jail. They took it over from there because they're like, "Hey, this is going federal." So that was kind of cool. One of those like, wow. It's amazing what one little simple what you
What
think
about
is
the third
simple.
person? Go
Uh,
back to the
Yeah.
third person now.
so
Let's
so
find
so I had already had him identified. They went and picked him up. They went and found him and picked him up. I just
Oh,
didn't have,
cool.
yeah, I just didn't
Didn't
have
have
any
enough to catch you.
to,
Was he part of the home invasion gang
yes,
then?
yes, all three of them. Yeah.
Okay.
All three of
What were
them.
the feds looking at him for?
For those home invasions. And then also they had a lot of counterfeit money that they would
Oh,
tip.
gotcha.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So it was just a whole string of things.
Did they try to
Nice.
bond out with their counterfeit money?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not quite sure on that. I don't think they
Yeah, how
made
does
it
that
out for a
work? Yeah.
while. Yeah.
That's a
Hey,
nice lick. That's a good
but
night.
for the arrest though, with those guys, once you got that, now I like the reason I asked this is that they had a lot of weapons in there. Now, is your dog cross trained in detecting weapons as well as drugs, or is that a separate discipline?
That's separate. Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, so he's
because
only
that
he's only trained to detect the odor of narcotics and then also the odor of man. Now he has found some firearms that have had, so what
mints
that
humans. sent on them?
or narcotics sent on him.
Okay.
He found one firearm that was in some bushes, and when we slid it back to lock the slide, there was marijuana residue inside it. Like, so it's
What a
it's
hell of
it's
a weed pipe. Hey, man, I'm smoking a 9 millimeter
right.
today.
Right. And a lot of these people who are touching the drugs, they're touching these guns, so that odor is kind of mixing. Um so yeah, he's found some guns based off that, but no, he's not just trained to detect the odor of a firearm or the powder or anything inside the ammunition.
So the reason I ask you that is I want to get into the next part, and we want to preface this by saying when our interview was originally scheduled, because I think we had a couple scheduling conflicts. Uvalde had not happened yet. So that our conversation was going to be a little different based on that. Now it's going to be a little different now based on that. So we talked a little bit beforehand, and it's like, let's talk about now the canines for kids, because I think a lot of people they get some misconceptions about what a dog could do in a school, or some of the things that we can do. But I thought it was very interesting, especially what you were saying. There's some things it cannot stop. Look, we cannot stop everything, but for the things that it can stop, and I look at some of the kids that come into the school, like, that walk in, or kids that are bringing guns in their backpack. Let's talk a little bit about the creation of Canines for Kids. Tell us about what you know about the origin of that, and why you chose, or for what you know about why Christy chose to do something around the Canines for Kids, and what the purpose of the dogs are, because you've got a dog you use just for that, right?
Correct. And so for those who are not familiar, so Christy started Canines for Cops, which is a nonprofit that raises money to purchase fully trained police dogs for agencies all across the country. She's donated over, I believe it's now up to like 250 canines across the country. And now, mind you, just so y'all know, most of these dogs cost anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 each. So she is raising this money to purchase these fully trained police dogs for agencies, and then she's donating them. So it doesn't even cost the department a dime to get these dogs. So Canines for Cops had already been started, and I believe it was after Sandy Hook is when she decided to start the initiative Canines for Kids. Her vision for that was placing dogs into schools. She's already been placing them into police departments to serve the streets and communities. Now let's start Canines for Kids, where we can place these dogs in schools. And what these dogs are trained to do is to detect weapons, detect narcotics, or detect explosives, bomb dogs kind of deal. Um,
Are
and
they cross trained in patrol, as in terms of attack, or are they just trained only in the detection?
Generally, no, they are not trained in patrol. They're going to be single purpose for the most part. And a lot of them are non-intimidating breeds, such as like German short-haired pointers, dogs like that. You won't necessarily see as many Belgian Malinois or German Shepherds per se, because a lot of the kids get a little intimidated by that. So you'll see kind of some quote unquote friendlier breeds whose noses
That's like
are
at the
are
airport.
phenomenal. Yes, yeah,
You see the
exactly. That's
USDA with
yes,
the beagles,
yep.
and it's like, but the
That's
beagles are
exactly.
sniffing out ag products, which, by the way, you have a degree in agriculture, as we've determined, and a minor in ag
Yes.
business. So you know about all of this.
Correct. Yeah. The airport dogs, yeah, they do use friendlier looking dogs, so the people inside the airport are not as intimidated. But the majority of the dogs that are going into these schools, that Canines for Kids places in these schools, generally are going to be single purpose, and so they're there to detect, firearms, whatever that school believes that, hey, this is what we can benefit from. There's some single purpose narcotic dogs as well who are placed in the schools too.
So
So
you have one of the dogs, right?
yes, so Quella, even though she initially was a personal protection dog, because of the role that she played with Canines for Cops, doing all of the media, we've been on Dr. Oz, we've been on probably 25 different news station videos, at least interviews. We've been to the White House, we've been to the French Embassy. We made Quella basically a glorified police dog, so she is now trained on suspect apprehension, building searches, vehicle extractions, and narcotic detection. She is a police dog now. She's a certified police dog, because now she can demonstrate everything that our police dogs do on the streets or in the schools. Um, but she can demonstrate that and then still be sociable where people can interact with her and people can see, okay, this is what we want kind of deal.
Wow,
So
that's unusual, isn't it?
it is. Quelle's a freak though. Like I said,
But what breed is Quelle again?
she's a Belgian Malinois.
And Malinois, as we determined earlier, they're just crazy. They're damn nuts. And so, where did her nutty gene go? Where did her crazy gene go?
So I think it's because of the amount of time that I was able to put in with her. So even when I lived at the ranch and I had her, she was with me 24 hours a day. I mean, I was taking her. She never left my side. And so I think being able to really mold her into what she became. She's a freak. I mean, I have people who have trained thousands and thousands of dogs. They tell me she's a freak. She is one in a billion. There will never be another Quelle. She turned 10 this year. She's a phenomenal dog. I get a little teary eyed talking about it. I'm a little choked up,
right.
but so when I take Quelle, because Quelle is part of Canines for Kids, I don't take her in to search the schools for narcotics or anything like that. What I'm doing with her is taking her in for community engagement. So she kind of became our little community dog. And even though she's not owned by my department allows me to take her into schools, community events, whatever it may be, anything involving children or the community, whatever. I actually get to take her because Canine Le Mans he's not nice.
He's crazy.
He's an asshole, if we're putting it bluntly.
Does he know he's an asshole though?
Yes. He's very, very good at what he does, but he's an asshole and he cannot be around the general public. He's very mean. So that's where Quelle. I'm so fortunate. Nobody else has two dogs. I'm telling you that right now. Nobody else has two dogs. So the fact that I have two dogs, that I can literally do both sides of this job, the patrolling on the street, the taking the bad guys, and then also the community engagement and kissing babies and taking pictures. Like it's just it truly is like the best job in the whole world, and there's nobody else in my position like that. And so it really makes me that much more grateful and thankful for what I have been given, especially by Christy, because I mean, ultimately she did give me both of these dogs. So we go in and, we just do what we do and try to spread the word on what these dogs can assist with inside schools kind of deal. But a lot of that goes to the communities too, because again, all of these dogs are based off fundraising, people donating money to Canines for Cops. So it's not like Canines for Cops or Canines for Kids has all of this money and can just, go out and purchase these $15,000 dogs. It's sourcing from the parents, hey, we want to keep your kids safe, but we got to have you have to help us be able to help you kind of deal. Right. And so that's where, the importance of all of the fundraising and stuff comes in.
Very nice.
Yeah. That's go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, if people want to find, not that we're here at the end of the interview, but it's a good opportunity to tell if people do want to donate or find out more, where would they go to do that?
Caninesforcops.org. So it's www.k9s4cops.org, and all of the information where you can donate, how to help. It shows you every community, every department where these dogs are at. It lists them by state. There's just so much information on there that you can see. We do a lot of fundraisers on the Facebook page too. You'll see a lot of Quelle's stuff on there. Quelle does some funny stuff to raise money. So
well, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Don't worry, folks. We'll put the links on our webpage and in the show notes for the podcast, so you don't have to worry about it. But let's go back to a little bit of that, though. It's kind of like Dr. Oz. I know that she got mad. I think it was at Chris Moore, right? Because they were going on Steve Harvey. She was getting one of Steve Harvey's Heroes things.
Yes.
And she showed up and she got totally sandbagged. She didn't know any of the dogs were there, any of the people were there. And Chris even told her, I can't make it. I can't go.
Correct.
But tell us about Dr. Oz, because you've got the daytime shows. Everybody kind of competes with everybody. So, but tell us about going to Dr. Oz. Was that another? she knew that all the dogs were coming, or was this another surprise?
Yes. So Dr. Oz, it was actually just Quella. Quella was the only dog who went, and it
Okay.
was basically it was a plug for Canines for Cops. One of her good friends, Bill Stanton, who used to be a NYPD detective, I believe, he does a lot of like personal protection stuff, that kind of thing. Basically, he was doing a segment on how to protect yourself from multiple different things. So I think if you get stuck inside the trunk of a car, or if you're out walking your baby stroller and a dog comes up and attacks you, kind of deal. So that's what he was on the show for. They decided to basically kind of push Canines for Cops at the same time. And so what we did is, because Quella is so good at what she does, Quella was actually the dog to demonstrate the bite, the dog attacking, the person pushing the stroller or whatever. So, she's in all of her Canines for Cops gear, her harness and stuff, so everything was a plug and a push for Canines for Cops. And so at the end, after she got done demonstrating that, I'm sorry, not Steve Harvey, Dr. Oz, excuse me. Dr. Oz talked about Canines for Cops, what they do, how to help, kind of deal. So that necessarily wasn't a push or like a demonstration for law enforcement. It was just one of those, hey, we have an in on the Dr. Oz show. Let's use it and push what we
Right.
can, kind of deal. And so we did. Um, while we were up there, I took her to all sorts of landmarks, took pictures. And, a lot of the cool pictures that Quella has taken has actually led into other stuff, bigger sponsorships from companies who want to help, more exposure, us getting on America's Top Dog. We went to Hollywood, Los Angeles 2 years ago and filmed on America's Top Dog, all because of, some of the stuff that Quella had already done and people had seen, kind of deal.
Now, it's not what Quella's done. Quella's a dog. Quella can't post a social media post. Quella can't do TikTok or Instagram. It's what you guys have done with Quella. So let's talk a little bit about that, because before we get into the social media part, I want to just kind of close off on the role of, I want to go back to a serious topic for a minute, but we're all sitting and this is not a gun debate, folks. Don't give us hate mail about, well, you just do gun control this. No, we're talking about the role of canines for kids, or what a dog can do in a school. And I want people to really be clear about, you were just talking about that. So how does that work? You deploy a dog to a school. Give us in a scenario to where a dog can prevent something from happening under the Canines for Kids program.
So let me just make it clear that a dog is not necessarily going to stop an active shooter. If somebody is in a school with a rifle, or, wherever, a dog is not going to be able to stop them, because the chances of the dog even surviving that, prior to the dog even getting close enough to the suspect, what's the saying? You don't take a knife to a gunfight, kind of deal. So you don't necessarily take a dog to a gunfight, but what the dog can do leading up to those events. So we have dogs who are assigned to specific schools. The dog is stationed at the front. Yeah, some of these schools have metal detectors. Okay, but what if your school doesn't have metal detectors? Look at all of these kids and all of the backpacks that are coming in. So what
Yep.
these dogs can do, they may not be able to necessarily stop an active shooter who has already made it into the school, but they can stop an active shooting situation prior to it happening, because these dogs can detect a firearm inside a backpack or that has been placed in a locker. So these dogs, the Canines for Kids dogs, are searching backpacks. They're sniffing backpacks, they're sniffing lockers, trying to detect, hey, is there a firearm? Hey, is there ammunition? Kind of deal, because that's the specific thing that these dogs are trained to find. And so, yeah, a lot of school shootings have been thwarted because the school shooter, may tell his friend, "Hey, I brought a gun to school today." Well, now it relies on that kid who he told to open his mouth and say something, right?
Right.
Well, what if that kid doesn't? So what if the kid who brought the gun is walking around or puts his backpack down, you know, you can't just go start opening up backpacks. It's kind of the same, I mean, they have to have, some probable cause too, kind of deal. So when these dogs are searching these backpacks and they alert, hey, there's There's something that I am trained to sniff, which is a gun, firearm, ammunition, whatever, in this bag. So the dogs can be the frontline defense on that, stopping these weapons from even making it into the school. And so that is the biggest asset that these dogs can do, and not just firearms either. These dogs can detect narcotics too. Certain other dogs, can detect narcotics. So, we've all seen where kids are getting these gummies that look like SpongeBob or Minions.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're taking. They're methamphetamines. They're MDMA ecstasy pills shaped like cartoon characters. And again, what Canines for Kids can do is place a narcotics dog in these schools too, who searches backpacks, who searches lockers, who searches the bathrooms where kids are, hiding this stuff under toilet paper holders and stuff. So Canines for Kids purpose is just so important, because these dogs really are the frontline defense, like I said, for stopping firearms and narcotics from even entering into the school.
Man, so give us a scenario. So, like, you got kids walking into the school, and a lot of folks, they've heard some of the episodes, so they understand some of the differences, dog like passive or active. So, but in a case like this, when they're just sniffing for firearms, how does is that dog an active dog? Is it a passive dog? How do you receive the alert that something has happened?
So it just depends on the dog, and how they were trained. So you've seen the dogs in the airports, the mobile odor detection dogs, who are basically walking around sniffing people and or bags as they're moving through the airport. So kind of the same thing. The dog, whatever it may train to do, whether it be sit, which would be a passive alert, or maybe it barks, which would be kind of an active alert. So it would just kind of depend on what the individual dog and handler are trained to do. But yeah, I mean, if the dog does detect whatever it may be trained on, whether it's the firearms or the narcotics, whatever, that handler is trained to know what that behavior change from the dog is, and know that, hey, whatever he just did, whether it's sit, bark, lay down, whatever, he now knows that that dog has hit that odor that he is trained to detect.
Yeah, I mean, that's just because you think I think about that too, about all the ones that have been caught coming in with the backpack, and that's like you say, that's the wrong time to find it. If it's already inside the school, then it can become a threat. You want to prevent that stuff from getting in there. I mean, you're down in Texas. I mean, this is your home state. This is your area. How has that changed the view of how people view protecting the kids at school?
I think it's amplified it. I just worked a school the other day for a side job, and they have signs posted outside, big billboards that say, "Hey, our staff is armed, and we will protect our kids at all costs." 5 years ago, you didn't see that. 10 years ago, you didn't
Mhm.
see that. But now schools are really starting to take it seriously, and um, Canines for Kids just can help with that so much by providing these dogs who can go in and sniff these backpacks, sniff these lockers, even sniff the vehicles in the parking lot. Because if they have ammunition or anything in their vehicles, I mean, these dogs are still going to be able to detect that. um so I mean, they are just a great asset to not only police departments serving the streets, but also school ISDs, just whether it's elementary, middle school, high school, college campuses, whatever. Christy now, speaking of college campuses at A&M, Christy has started a canine program there. They have dogs from Canines for Cops, who sweep the stadiums and stuff for explosives. So these dogs just they're phenomenal. They're expensive, and again, that's why we need everybody's help on fundraising and help purchasing these dogs. But what they can do, I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
just the I mean, it outweighs the cost.
I think
It's
I saw a
just
picture online just now of LSU has one of Christie's dogs.
yeah, yeah.
And,
There's
and the
quite a
funny
few.
thing is, we got dogs out there sniffing the cars. When I was in high school, it wasn't unusual to have your deer rifle, your shotgun
Right,
hanging in the back window of your
Yeah.
truck.
right.
Or because you're in the rifle club. We had a rifle club for our Future Farmers of America, FFA,
Yeah. My high
things have
school
changed.
was small, it was a small town rural community, and everybody went and hunted deer and
Yes,
shot
we did.
wild hogs, and so they always had shotgun shells or shotguns in their trucks, but now
Man,
no.
if you had done a gunshot residue test on half the kids in my high school would have tested
Yeah.
positive on that stuff because we were just out shooting before we came in. Hey, but let's talk about how you've been able to raise awareness. And one of those ways, Murph, you're the one who did the research on it. Tell me about this little viral lip syncing dog. How does a dog lip sync?
Well, it's probably better Matt. I'm sorry, I started to say Christy, but Madison explained to it. But I'm looking at the video, and it's funny because I'll show you here on my other laptop. It just happened to stop you right in the middle. The dog's ready to bite and look like.
Yep.
Let's talk about that, Madison.
So how that happened, anytime something negative happens in law enforcement, the community just either they tear us apart or they build us up. And so sometimes law enforcement agencies will do something silly, whether it's a lip sync video or a dance or whatever.
Remember when they used to have the challenges? Somebody would have a song. And...
Yes, the challenges. And so that's exactly how this got started. This was a couple years ago. It was during that lip sync challenge. There was one cop, I don't know, down in like New Mexico or something. I don't even know, but he videoed himself lip syncing to a song. And it went viral because, he was a good looking cop, whatever. People they loved it. And so then all the other cops started doing the same thing. So again, because Quelle is a freak, I literally can, she's a freak. She is a freak. And yes, I do. And I know you said it wasn't all Quelle, but yeah, I do give all of the credit to Quelle because if she wasn't the dog that she is, none of this would be possible. I mean, I have 2 other dogs in my house right now that there's no way I could get them to do any of this, So I will give 99.9% of the credit to Quelle. I'm just her chauffeur, and I'm fortunate that I was chosen. I'm fortunate that I was chosen to hold her leash. I am just her leash holder.
Funny. My cats are the same way. There's an old saying: cats don't have masters; they have staff. And I'm just simply the staff.
Yeah, I am her agent. People. And it's funny. I promise I'll get back to what I was going to, but it's funny. I will get emails asking, "Hey, can Quelle come to this event?" It's not, "Hey, can Deputy Madison come to the event?" or "Hey, can you come?" No, it's always asking for the dog, and I'm like, "Yes, I'm her agent. She will be there," kind of deal. So, all of these lip sync videos started happening, and there hadn't been any dog ones. And so, Christy, she sends me a text and she says, "We need a dog lip sync video." So I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking, how can we do this? And then I was like, you know what? Who let the dogs out? All I have to, it's barking. That like Quelle can lip sync to the barking part. So y'all, and it's funny because I've received so much praise, but also so much backlash from this video, and I'll explain why. So,
for God's sakes. Okay, I got to hear this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have, we're fortunate we can take our patrol cars home. So I work night shift. Okay. So Christy sends me a message during the day. "Hey, we need a video." So again, I'm like, okay, well, cheesy. Let's just do Who Let the Dogs Out, whatever. So I literally throw my uniform shirt on and my vest. I'm in shorts and flip flops. Okay. Because you can't see that.
Similar to the way you're dressed now.
Yes. Which y'all can't see. So that's okay. So I go out to my car, which is parked. Okay. It is parked in my driveway. I put Quelle in the back seat, in the dog compartment. I open up the sliding door. So she's like right there. And I put, my car at the time has Bluetooth. So I put the song on Bluetooth, and I'm holding a Kong, a toy, in my right hand. So she will look directly at the camera because, there's secrets to doing this. So
you're exposing all the tricks to the trade.
Yes, I am. So to explain all of this backlash that I received. So again, let me just reiterate, my car is parked in my driveway. So I'm holding her toy with my right hand, and then I'm holding my camera, my phone camera, videoing in my left hand. So again, I turn the music on, it's going, "Who let the dogs out?" And then I give her her little signal, which y'all, we didn't even practice this, but one time prior to filming. And, like I said, this dog will do anything. If I tell her to stand on her tail on a fire hydrant, I promise you she would figure out how to do that, because she loves to serve me and do whatever I ask her to do, no matter how stupid it is. So I'm holding the camera in my left hand. My right hand is holding her toy, keeping her focus at the camera, which clearly, if you watch the YouTube video, you'll be able to see. So I'm telling her, I'm giving her the command to bark when it says, "Who let the dogs out?" Woof, 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 woof,
Yeah.
And so I received a lot of backlash because people thought I was driving because the camera is moving. So they're like, "Oh, she's driving as she's videoing this." No, the camera is moving because I'm holding two things, singing,
Oh,
lip syncing. Y'all, the comments were insane. They commented about my makeup. They commented about how, people dissected this video and was like, "Look through the back window, the windshield. You can see that she's driving because stuff is moving." I'm like, let me pull up my security footage on my house and show you. I walked to my car half dressed in my uniform and flip flops. I'm in park. I get out, like the vehicle never moves kind of deal. And it's hilarious. So we originally had posted that onto YouTube. Onto Facebook. And within a matter of like hours, we were getting new calls from news stations all around the world. "Hey, we want to share this video. Can we share it?" So I think combined total, it had over 70 million views through all of the outlets, Facebook, YouTube, all of the news media outlets. It had over 60 to 70 million combined views. So I'm like, man, I wish I could have gotten paid for this.
Oh yeah.
that's
Oh,
all.
yeah.
Murph gets 5 or 6 views a day just on his own. Woohoo.
That's it. That's
But
it.
yeah,
It's
so something
unbelievable.
something so like fun and just, lighthearted, people still found a way to bash, "Oh,
You
she's
know what? They
driving,"
always
and
will.
always.
But the whole thing about the makeup, though, do people not know you just got up and throw yourself together to get into that
Y'all,
car?
I mean,
What is
I
wrong?
received comments about my eyebrows, about my like everything, and it's just like people have nothing good to do but to pick people apart. And I mean, I could do nothing but laugh, because it really is funny. I received quite a few marriage proposals as well, which any time my picture gets posted on the Facebook with the dogs and stuff, I get a lot of proposals, or, "Hey,
Now,
come pull me
are they
over."
proposing? Are they proposing to you or you and Quella?
Oh, I don't know. We're a package deal, so it's funny. I'm going on a year dating my current boyfriend, and prior to meeting him,
Hello,
my
boyfriend. She said current boyfriend. You haven't achieved permanent status yet. Current.
yeah, there needs to be a ring on that to achieve permanent status. But it was funny because my profile said just a dog mom searching for a dog dad, so they knew I was a dog. Like, it was a package deal. I literally took
Yep.
Quella on some of my dates. Like, this is it, it's a package deal.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, let's hear that. I want to hear about tell us about a date where you brought Quella. How does that go?
Well,
How do
because
you do something like that?
here in Texas, especially in our area, it's very dog friendly. So a lot of the restaurants and stuff have like friendly patios where you can bring your dogs, and it's just so fun. And like I said, I've literally gone around the world with Quella, so I take her everywhere. She's like my little sidekick, and so I'll get dressed up, whatever, and off we go. We'll go walk down the waterway and, have dinner or whatever. I'll order her chicken nuggets or whatever she wants, and, she'll get some French fries. And but yeah, so I did. I took her on a couple. Okay, it wasn't ever the first date, I don't think. But I got to make sure that my dog likes them too. And again,
Now,
people are crazy. I mean, Quello's like my little concealed carry bite
you're still
dog.
well, not
So
quite so control. Now, was there ever a date that didn't go so well to where you decided you needed to deploy Quella to save you?
no, no,
No.
never, no,
No.
never needed to do that.
Good.
That would be a
That probably would not have ended well.
Well, that there would be no second date, I guarantee you,
Right.
for either.
Right.
Hey, but on a more serious note, have you ever had a situation to where you needed Quella?
No, but I do remember that there was one time when I was living at Christy's house in Houston, going through the police academy. I had stopped at a gas station to get gas, and I had gone inside. And again, I had left the sunroof open, and there was some guy. And I'm not going to say it's a shady part of town, but looking back and knowing now, there is a lot of stuff that does occur in that area. I'm just thinking, I'm only a couple miles from the house. It's on the other side of the freeway. I needed gas. It looked like a nice Shell station kind of deal. But and again, it might have been, I'm a little naive at this point, because I just moved from a small city to Houston, like still going through the police academy, so you don't fully know like what the streets are about. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you can read the news and see all that, but until you actually see it, some people are,
Tell you there.
you're just naive on it. And so I remember I was getting gas, and I had run inside to get, and I had just gotten pizza. So I had a pizza that was sitting on the center console, and I was like, Quella, you better not eat this, kind of deal. So as I was walking out, I noticed that these two guys had kind of started walking towards me. They had been standing on the corner of the store when I walked in, and then when I was coming out, they kind of started making their way towards my vehicle. And if I remember correctly, there was only myself and one other vehicle in the parking lot at the time, and it was during night, night hours. I'm not going to say it was like midnight hours, but I mean, it was definitely dark time. And so I got closer to the vehicle, and Quella is just target locked on them. And she's the type, anybody who even gets close to the vehicle, regardless of who it is, she goes off. I mean, she is barking and just showing her teeth. I mean, her lips are full pulled back, just, I mean, just like werewolf growling. Like, you see this and it's like, oh, never mind. So she did. I didn't even have to tell her. She sees these two guys starting to get too close to the vehicle, or, too close to me, whatever. And she starts barking, and I'll tell you what, they turned and went the other way. If I needed her, like I said, that sunroof was open, and she had positioned her paws on the center console on top of the pizza. So that kind of made me feel good. Like, okay, hey, my dog's going to not eat this pizza because she's too concerned about protecting me, kind of deal. So yeah.
But now your pizza tastes like cardboard because it's been smashed together.
But you know what? Totally worth
It's all
it.
good.
Yeah, totally worth it. But yeah, so I just that yeah, I mean, I think she might have thwarted that, because at the time, I mean, I'm not even a police officer yet. I don't have a gun on me or anything. Quella was my protection, and so I literally took her everywhere we went, and not only for protection wise. Don't take that the wrong, but she really is like my best friend. I mean, that dog has, I've been with her 8 years now. And I can't imagine. I don't know how I lived before her, but I can't imagine life without her. Just because of all the amazing stuff that we have done together. But yeah, I mean, she's my little shadow. She literally goes anywhere and everywhere with me. But I do believe that she thwarted that, from potentially something stupid happening.
Well, most of us like our pets better than we like the people we hang out with anyway.
Right.
Oh my God, yeah. There are some people, if they disappeared, wouldn't bother me a bit. But you take away my pet. Hey, before we go though, Steve, you're the one who brought this up, so I'm going to let you close out with the story you wanted to.
Yeah, so I'm doing some research today before we brought Madison on, and if you Google Madison Sperry Canine, the first article that pops up is about Madison's involvement with a young 6-year-old cancer survivor. Is it okay to say survivor?
So she passed away. She did end up passing away. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm not sure I can go any further because I'll start tearing up. Read the article. So what happened? You were introduced. Well, you tell a story. You tell it better than I will.
So, like I said, my dad did pass away from cancer when I was 16, and so that's the whole reason that we were here in Texas. And so, I had seen an article on Facebook, and like I said, Quella, my department lets me use Quella for everything, anything and everything. It's one of those, I almost don't even have to ask permission. I just go, and like they love it. I had seen somebody share something about Abigail on Facebook, something about how she had just been diagnosed terminally ill with cancer, and that a local police department was going to swear her in because she had her dreams of becoming a police officer.
Mhm.
And so I was like, you know what? I want to meet her. And so I reached out to that department who I actually knew. I had actually previously worked with that chief's son. So I had a little bit of a connection, reached out to them. They got me in touch. So I actually went down and did a school visit at her school, took Quella, met Abigail, fell in love with her. I mean, she just was such a bright soul. And she
Yeah.
just so happy and so full of life. And it's like, why do bad things happen to such good people,
Mhm.
kind of deal.
Innocent people.
She fell in love with Quella. I taught her Quella's commands. And so it's funny. They basically did a giant school show and tell of me, Quella, and Abigail. So they brought us up on stage, and Abigail gave Quella her commands. We did all of this. We did like a little hide and seek. We hid the
Mhm.
ball. Quella went and found it. It was all about Abigail and Quella.
Right.
That's what it was. I really wanted to meet her, and I wanted her to meet my special dog. And so that then grew into, we did a couple other things with them. My department swore her in as well and made her an honorary canine deputy. She's the only person I know in the history that has a dog on her ID badge, because she got to take a ID picture with Quella. I'm jealous. I don't even have
Oh.
that. So Quella has her own ID badge. I mean, it was just this big, amazing, amazing thing. And Quella became her police dog. So
Mhm.
anything that she needed Quella for, that was her police dog. She wanted to fight the bad guys, and so Quella was gonna help her fight the bad guys. So fast forward a little bit, Canines for Cops partners with the Houston Rodeo, which is, if y'all don't know, it's one of the largest rodeos in the country. It's a huge, huge, amazing event. And the rodeo allows Canines for Cops to put on what we call Hard Dog Fast Dog, which is an event where the dogs, we showcase the dogs how fast they can get to a suspect and how hard they can take them down. So basically, you have a
Mhm.
bad guy standing at the end of the arena. The dog is released, runs real fast, bites him, takes him down. It basically puts on a show. It's something cool.
Right.
The crowd loves it. It's always a crowd pleaser. Well, I asked Christy, I said, why don't we let Abigail and Quella compete? And another cool thing about Quella is she had actually already competed in Hard Dog Fast Dog with me as a civilian the first year I had her. Um, again, it was one of those. Um, Christy let me do it because it's Christy and it's her event. So I was the only civilian who got to do it. Quella was the fastest dog clocked at 35 miles an hour. She won the fast dog. She
Say what? What a minute. Roll back.
Wow.
Say what?
35 miles an hour is what Quella was clocked at. She was the fastest
Holy
dog in
cow.
Harris County. Nobody even came close to her that year. 35. And
Holy.
y'all, they clocked her 3 times. It was 3 runs at 35 miles an hour. So the first one wasn't a fluke. Um,
I have been
Wow.
on my road bike at 35 miles an hour, and I thought if I hit a rock, dude, I'm dying.
yeah.
It's like I've gone 40
Yeah.
miles an hour on that thing. It's like 35 as a dog. Oh my
Yep.
God.
I'll never forget that, 35 miles an hour. So, anyways, Christy had already let me compete. And so it's funny, tying Chris Moore back into things, his dog Zico. We always kind of had like a friendly competitive banter, hey, Quella's faster than Zico, kind of deal, which she
Mhm.
was.
Quella's smarter than Zico,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So it was always funny, hey, Quella's gonna beat Zico, kind of deal, which she did a few times. Uh so, anyways, Quella had already, been the fast dog champion and all sorts of things. And so I went to Christy and I said, hey, why don't we really push this? It's going to be a really cool thing. Why don't we have Abigail come compete? She's an officer, kind of deal.
Mhm.
And so they
Mhm.
did. They allowed it. So I brought Quella. Luckily, one of my sponsors, Julius Canine, um, sent me a really cool pink harness. We glittered it up. We decked it out for Abigail. It was awesome. They sent me anything and everything that I needed for this.
Very cool.
And so we went out there, and guess what? She took a bite out of cancer. She beat the bad guys. We actually won she won the event with Quelle. She won the title of hard dog and fast dog. She was the overall champion. I'll never forget when we had, we told the bad guy to stop, whatever. And then Abigail gave Quelle the attack command. And so Quelle runs down there, and I have video, so we're running after Quelle, and Quelle is attacking the bad guy, and you see Abigail throwing her hands up, jumping up and down, like, wow, this is awesome. I mean, she just was so ecstatic, like that was her little police dog, and this is what we just did. So we got Quelle off, and they announced that, a couple minutes later we were the winners, and that smile on her face, I still have the pictures. Actually, some of them got blown up. One of my sponsors had them custom drawn for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we got Dippin' Dots after that. Because all champions get Dippin' Dots. That's what she had told me. Remind me, she's 6 at this time, but I mean, this just so full of life. And so that definitely was one of the coolest things that I've done. And again, if I hadn't had Quelle, I would not have been able to be in that position to do stuff like that. And so that is, again, why I give Quelle so much credit, because the dog, it takes a special dog to do what she has done. Anybody can hold her leash, but it takes a very special dog to do that kind of thing. So, like I say, I just hold the leash, chauffeur her around, and schedule her appearances.
Did Quelle get Dippin' Dots?
She sure did. She got her own. Yeah, I believe that picture is on the article. But yeah, because
all champions get Dippin' Dots.
All champions get Dippin' Dots. Yes, sir.
Now, the big question: did you get paid to do that?
No, I've never.
So all you jackasses out there that are bad mouthing this young lady right here, kiss our asses. She's taking her time, her dog,
personal dog,
through hell to get to where she is right now, and look what she's doing for your community. What have you done for your community?
Yeah, so
get on the front lines, pal, before you start bitching about stuff. Yeah, we're on your side. Yeah. I can't run as fast as Quelle, but by God, we can throw a taunt. We can taunt people on this podcast.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, Quelle is not owned by the county. She is my personal dog, so I pay for everything for her vet bills, food bills, all of that. And so anytime that she does go with me, I mean, that's her personal time. No, we're not getting paid for that.
That's right.
I volunteer her. Yeah. I volunteer the dog. But I love, like, I don't have to get paid to do it. I love what I do. And so, anything like that. We have an event coming up that I partner with Houston Police Department and their gang. It's called the Gang Resistant Education and Training Program. They take
great program, yeah.
Yes, the great program. So it's a lot of underprivileged, lower income area kids who might be exposed to gang violence and stuff like that. I've done it three or 4 years now in a row where I take Quelle, we do a presentation with them. And actually last year, I'm going to do it again. It's in August. But last year, I mentioned that Quelle was the fastest dog in Houston. Well, of course, all these kids want to race her. So I have a video. We lined 10 kids up. We selected 10 at the back of we're on a basketball court, so they're on the foul line. I go to the other end. Quelle is lined up with them. There's 10 kids. Quelle's in the middle, and I say, on your marks, get set, go. And the race is on. Quelle literally races all of those kids. She beat them, but she ran straight towards me. And I mean, those kids had so much fun doing that. I mean, it's just, it takes a special dog to be able to do all of that. But yeah, I mean, she does all of this for free. I do all of it because I want to do it.
I'm dying laughing because, again, you're sitting there bored a couple times, like on a plane, or Murph and I were just in San Diego last week at the gang conference. And so I'm scrolling through stuff and I see the perfect video for dogs. They've got this dog race going on and they just released like 8 greyhounds or whatever, and it's supposed to be following the mechanical rabbit. Well, a real rabbit went across the track and you see these dogs going straight. Then all of a sudden everybody makes a right turn and all these 8 dogs are going over the fence and through everything, going after the real rabbit. It's like squirrel, whoosh.
I did see that, and it is hilarious.
Oh my God.
You're saying Quelle is a special dog, and obviously she is, but you're a special person that you're giving up your time, your dog. And you're friends with one of the sweetest ladies in the world, Christy Schiller. We love her to death.
Yeah,
you get to meet her sometime.
I hope you do.
And I'm watching
she's
right now
amazing.
the video. Quelle is sitting right there just staring you in the eye.
Yeah, she's right here. She's like, I heard you talking about me again.
You said my name.
Yeah, but yeah, if I could just say one more thank you to Christy Schiller. She really did change my life. Not just with taking me on at the ranch and stuff, but eh, you know, unknowingly to her when she did give me Quella. I mean that did change the course of my life. So I am forever grateful for everything that she has done for me. What she continues to do for me, and not just for me, but for law enforcement, for the communities. Like I said, I mean, Christy has placed over 200 dogs now across the nation. And actually, there's one in Paris, France, too, which is why we were in Washington, D.C. at the French Embassy. So I mean, the amount of good that one person has done is just astounding.
And that was the dog's name, if I remember right, was Liberté?
Yes. Liberté.
Liberté. Because that is French for liberty.
Yes.
Steve, in case you didn't speak French. With my outrageous French accent.
Yes, and for those wondering, yes, that is Quella on stage pretending to be Liberty because the dog
we
was
didn't
not
have Liberty yet.
He was not stage ready, so Quella got to pretend to be him.
Quella's going, I'm a pro. Now, before we close off, I mean, this has been an amazing story. But just tell us about Abigail, because Steve asked about that. So when did she pass away?
So she ended up passing away back in 2019, back in November 2019. And when we did the Hard Dog Fast Dog, it was in March of 2019. And so, between
Is
that
the shirt I see where it says "Pray for Abigail" 758, or was that a year later?
Yes. So Pray for Abigail. They did a lot of fundraisers and stuff for her and her family. 758 was her badge number that she was given when she was sworn into her initial department of Freeport, who started, this whole thing. And what's unique about the 758 is she would write the gosh, now I can't even. It's been so. My mind is just all over the place. She would mix up one of the numbers and write it backwards, and so that kind of became her little signature. She would write the 7 backwards, so the 7 would be backwards, and the 58. And she loved llamas, and so that like my patrol car still has her llama decal on it, which is kind of cool because, we're supposed to get permission for any decal that we even put on our county car because,
I don't see you asking for permission for something like this.
I didn't have to, I did, but yeah, it was one of those, absolutely do it. So, but yeah, she ended up passing away, but still one of the coolest. And like I said, I have done some pretty amazing things with Quella, from Hollywood to Washington, D.C. to, everything in between. But that was probably the most rewarding and most just remarkable experience that I've ever gotten to do.
I'll bet. And I mean, you guys have any, geez, I just lost the word. You got any reason why we should not dedicate this episode to Abigail Arias?
Nope, no reason. Let's do it.
Consider it done.
Cool.
But we can't end on a sad note. We have to end on a fun note. So I want to ask you final question. What are the sleeping arrangements like in your house?
Quella gets to sleep wherever she wants. So yes, I do have a king size bed. She is normally in between me and my boyfriend. It's one of those, we adjust to her. She is the queen of the house. So whatever she wants, she gets. If she is laying sprawled out sideways across the bed, we will adjust to that. We don't want to disturb her.
I can attest to that. My daughter and son-in-law have a dog they call Hops, about 70 pounds and stuff. And there have been times where my daughter was getting ready to come into bed and Hops has just completely taken over the other side. And it's easier for her to go into the other bedroom and get some sleep than it is to move the dog.
Yep. Because Quella, she loves to snuggle and she will be right up there with you. So.
And there's one thing we want to see. I want to see if this will work because Morgan's always doing the technical stuff. But...
There you go. Yeah, there she is. So So it's, it's funny, people were, yeah. I got her to lip sync, she barked in place of the barking, and and I did forget to say, a lot of people gave me backlash on my lip sync because I forgot some of the words, so my lips are moving to the wrong words. And I said, well, at least my dog didn't forget her words, because all it is bark.
As they say in Hollywood, the dog nailed it.
Yes.
Well, this took a couple directions I was not expecting. And so, Madison, I got to tell you, this was fun. First of all, D is for diploma. Never heard that before.
D is for diploma.
I wish I'd thought of that.
Oh, my gosh.
Just remember that. It's still passing. You still get that piece of paper. D for diploma.
Yeah, but you didn't settle for that later. That's good. And just the stories and stuff. It's like, we have loved the people that Christy's introduced us on like this, because it really allows us to look at, even though we've had now quite a few canine episodes. I think we'll have to turn this into a collection of canine and do it on late night. Now the Roncomatic, canine package, you can get yours for $19.95, Murph, if you just order now. Right. Here's how to order. No, but these dogs are amazing animals, and people forget is that it's even though technically they're like a tool for you, they become far more than that. And it's that bond. It's that indescribable bond between a dog and its handler.
Absolutely.
That make these things work. And that's, I just hope people realize is that when they see somebody out there with a dog, the thousands of hours that go into training that dog, maybe for just that one time, one event, like we talked to Chris about, where he made a split-second decision to turn Zeke loose. Take the knife out of the guy's hand. Otherwise, he would have been lit up by a SWAT team. He saved a guy's life because he turned his dog loose and took the machete out of that guy's hand. So, I mean, these split-second decisions, people can Monday morning quarterback all they want, but when you're out in the field making a split-second decision, you got to have a highly trained, four-legged, policing machine with you. And so we are so glad we had you on.
Well, thank you guys for having us. And like I said, I'm fortunate to be in the position where I'm at. Thank you again, Christy Schiller, for everything. And, Morgan and Steve, thank you guys for having me. It was a true honor and pleasure.
No, truly our honor. Is there some place that if people want to follow you, they can find you?
So yes, I do have Quelle's Instagram. So it is under K. Yeah, it's Quelle. It's not me. But you can follow her on Instagram, and it's K9, the number 9, and then Quelle. K9 Quelle, all one word, no underscores or anything like that. You can follow us along. I also post K9 Le Mans on there as well. It's just under K9 Quelle. But yeah, you can follow along to all of our stuff. I always post, anything that she's doing, department wise, any appearances, that kind of thing. I like to show off what she's doing just because she is so cool. And then, I'll post some of Le Mans's, cool things that he can do too. So, but yeah, follow along and
there it is.
Yep, there it is.
All that good stuff. Well, hey, look, folks can't see me, Madison, but this is me saluting you, saying thank you for your service there, Deputy. Thank you for everything that you're doing, especially with everything that's going on in Texas right now. You make sure you stay safe. Keep that body armor on you
Always.
And all your dogs, always, when applicable. And you stay safe. And we may have to have a return visit just to find out. We got to find out the adventures of Canine Quelle. That could be a whole book. You need to write a book.
It could, and I've thought about that. It would be.
I'm going to call Christy and have her text you right now. Say, I need a book by tomorrow morning, and there will be a book by tomorrow morning. There will be a book
by tomorrow morning. Yes.
Hey, truly, thank you for being on here.
Thank you, guys.
Be safe out there. Keep out the fantastic job you're doing. Don't let anybody drag you down. You're strong enough that's not going to happen. We learned that today, but we're proud of everything that you and Quelle and Le Mans are doing out there. So keep it up, young lady.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that.
All right, so we're bringing this to a close. We are dedicating this episode to Abigail, and we will make that announcement at the beginning of it. Everybody else, stay tuned for the debrief. Oh, what did I tell you? Not only was that a hell of a story to end up with, and I love the way you did the dedication. You want to dedicate it to that brave little girl who, unfortunately didn't make it. But just, you get so impressed with what Madison did to make somebody's life just a little bit better.
Absolutely. And that's why I asked her, I said, Madison, because people think, well, she's getting paid for this. And we specifically asked her, did you get paid for that? No, she was on her own time. She's donating her own time to do the right thing. And that's typically what happens in law enforcement. You know, I've spoken at a couple conferences here the last couple of weeks. And the sad thing is, you know, one bad cop spoils the reputation of the 99.9% of good cops out there. So, Madison, what an inspiration you were. Thank you for bringing some laughter and some bright light into that young lady's life. God bless her. She's got to be in heaven right now, looking down, smiling, you know, thinking about the good time she had with you and Quelle.
And I will tell you this too, if you're listening to this and you are Madison's, as she said, current boyfriend, you better make sure you put a ring on it. Like she said, I love the way she said, well, he's my current boyfriend. We got that.
Right.
So pal, if you're listening, whoever you might be, dude, better put a ring on it quickly. All right.
Yep.
So, guys, we hope you enjoyed that. We certainly did. And tell you, one of the fun and most inspirational episodes we've done in a long time. And so we just really appreciate it. So, and thank you to Madison. And again, thank you to Christy Schiller for sending these people our way. So, hey, if you enjoyed that podcast, head on over to Apple and Spotify, hit those 5 stars. Let us know what you thought of this episode and what we can be doing to make your listening experience even better. On the other thing, what's that other thing? And, you know, the thing, right? It's that gameofcrimespodcast.com website we have. You know, the thing.
Yeah.
For more info about the show, like I say, we'll be constantly updating it. We've got books, merch, all that good stuff on there. But follow us on social media at Game of Crimes on Twitter, at Game of Crimes Podcast on Facebook and the Instagram. PayPal.com. Use our email, gameofcrimespodcast@gmail.com or paypal.me/Game of Crimes. Whatever it makes it easier for you. But Steve, as we end up with every show, where do you got to be? Where you got to be? Where do you have to be?
You got to get over Patreon and just, you know what, just try us out for a month. Listen to some of the content on there.
Yeah.
You know, Jaime and I did 12 hours of interviews just about the Escobar investigation, which we didn't even go that in depth with Netflix. So check it out. If you don't like it, then cancel us. But once we get your credit card number, we got you. Sorry.
Don't use the C word. Don't say that.
Did I say that out loud?
Don't you say that out loud. Hey, but look, guys. Hey, look, it's this is a free country. You like us, stay with us. If you don't like us, hey, you know, that's fine too. But give us a shot. We'd really appreciate it. But hey, again, as always, we want to thank you guys. And stay tuned. We got some great episodes coming up, folks. I guarantee you. So make sure you hang in there with us. And make sure the other thing, you know, I don't think we tell people, just go hit that subscribe button, whatever platform you're on. Hit subscribe so that the episodes are delivered to you effortlessly every single week, twice a week when they come out. And you know what? One thing that we're coming up on, Murph, when this comes out, this is going to come out on the 27th of June. The 28th of June will be exactly 1 year since we launched our podcast. So,
and look at that. And that's our 55th episode in 1 year. How did we do that in 52 weeks?
It depends on how you can. If you're from West Virginia, we're good. That's right. Hey, by the way, too, you know, and like I said, we haven't missed a week yet. So that's kind of our thing. We'll be doing that. So we want to make sure we put something out every single week. But thank you guys coming up on our 1 year anniversary. Thank you guys for hanging with us. And thank you most of all for playing the biggest, the baddest, the most canine friendly and dangerous game of all, the Game of Crimes.